Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the webinar hosted by Informatic Institute of Technology on the impact of data analytics on future careers. Big data, data analytics, data science are some of the most popular buzzwords today, but many of us are not aware what are these technologies, what can be done with those, and what are the career opportunities available in these fields. So this webinar today will give you some insights on those areas. Today, we have some eminent panelists who are experts in this domain. We have Mr. Austin Mascarengi, consultant and head of department business at IIT, and Mr. Dinesh Asankar, director technical, Datos Private Limited. So they will be talking about the career opportunities that are available in the field of data analytics. They have been working on this field for a very long time, and it will be also good to get to know more details on what they have been doing from them also. Good evening, Mr. Austin. We are happy to have you today in this panel. Could you please let us know a little bit more about?
Right. Yes, so let me have a quick introduction about myself. I'm an academic with about 30 years experience, but I also had a career parallelly in the industry, where I was for about 7 years the head of a software company, which was a board of investment company involved in export of software products to many parts of the world. And I was also a chief technology officer, a director of technology for a large group of IT companies. So as a lecturer in this area, I teach subjects like business decision making and business analytics and strategic management.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sure you have a lot to share with us today. And then also have Mr. Dinesh. Dinesh, it's our pleasure to have you here today. We would also like to hear a little bit more about your work as well.
Okay, thanks, Aparna. Yeah, so I have been working in the industry for around 30 years now, and mostly for last 15 to 20 years, I'm working on the data platforms in different countries and in different roles like DBAs to business and business intelligence type of work. And also I'm into lecturing in many universities in Sri Lanka as a visiting lecturer. Yeah, so that's about me, and thanks again for inviting me for this.
Thank you for joining us today, Dinesh, and I'm sure you will also have a lot of information to share with us today. Right, so I have a curious question to the audience. Do you know who he is? Anyone from the audience?
Let's wait for a little while for the screen to change. This slide takes a little while to load.
Right, so I see some answers coming in the chat. Yes. Anyone can guess what was his prize at the last T20 auction? I'm sure many of you might have read about how much his price is at the T20 auctions in the past years. But if you were the hiring manager, would you hire him for the next T20? And what price would you like to give him? I think we can ask this question from Mr. Austin. So, Mr. Austin, how is this kind of decision made in today's world of business? Could you let us know a little bit more on that?
Right. So, okay. So, Blair, it'll be a great big thing to make such a decision, whether to take on some great person like Virat Kohli, especially for somebody like me, because I'm not much of a cricketer. So in school, in the first 11, I am sent last man into bat. So yeah, so that's all the cricket I know. I know our friend Dinesh Asankar here is more of a cricketer, so we'll go to him later. But for me now, as like a strategist and somebody who is in a CEO position, usually I would kind of make this decision by thinking, okay, what's his past track record, right? How is his performance in the past, especially in the recent past? How is his performance? Is it in an upward trend or is it going down, right? So based on that, that is one of the first things that I would look at, right? So I would like to see what is the trend with his performance, right? Especially in the T20, right? And then based on that, and of course some other inputs, right? I would like to make that decision saying, okay, should I hire this gentleman because they are expensive, and at what price? Okay, that's the decision that I would make with data.
Right. So Dinesh, since Mr. Austin said that you would be better with cricket, so would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, so as you know, I mean, everyone would like to have the person like Virat Kohli in your team. But what is the price that you are going to get for him? So that's an important question you need to ask. Also, as we all know, there are different types or different flavors of cricket, T20, whatever. T20, one day, and the test matches. So this is the question is on the T20s. Now, when you ask about T20s, also remember he plays for RCB and also IPL plays in a different world. Now this time it's playing. First part was played in India, and the next part is to play in UAE. I remember some time back it was played in South Africa. Now, as you know, these countries have different conditions. So how do we measure this player is good for these conditions? That's also an important question. So it's not only simply about seeing his averages, not only about seeing his numbers only. You need to go a little bit into diagnostic analytics and see what are the places that he would be better off playing. And if you know about, I mean, I know pretty much sure there are the people who love there are cricket lovers in our audience. You know, every cricket team, even Sri Lankan cricket team, we have a data analysis, right? If you know when a player comes out after his dismissal, he directly goes to the data analysis. Now, these are very simple numbers we all can get, right? You go to Cricinfo website, you can get these numbers. But apart from that, there are a lot of other data, such as how do you get out, right? And everyone is analyzing, not only your team, your opponent is also analyzing you, right? If you know these days, these days India and England is playing each other. If you look at, they have analyzed, okay, for this player, what are the best balls that you should ball? So likewise, it's not only about statistics, it's gone beyond that. It is going beyond that. Like what is the best position that you can play? If you are a bowler, what are the best balls that you can bowl? To which batsman? So likewise. So if you look at this simple example itself, is a classic example what are the level of data analytics that you can do.
Right. Interesting. So now, when you look at these data, right? So can you tell us now, doing this data analytics, is it so difficult, or is it something like rocket science, or you have tools to do these analytics these days?
Yeah, you have a lot of tools, right? Now, if you look at this simple data set, right? You have simple tools. I mean, don't think when we say tools, people might think that tools are very expensive tools, very difficult. I mean, code, you had to write length of codes. Yes, there are tools like that also. But if you have the proper set of data, then using Excel sheet, simple Excel sheet would do, right? So it doesn't need to be very complex nature of analytics that you need to do. It's just a process that you need to come up with. Right. So now let's say, okay, if you look at this data set, okay, Virat Kohli, T20 match. So I want to select T20 matches. So then against which countries? So that process is what we needed. So first thing that you need is you need a tool, and there are tools. So you can use those tools to utilize this type of features. And also another important task is after you get the data, how do you convert this data so that it can be better, it can be analyzed better, Right. So as I said, to summarize what I said, you don't need you need tools, and there are tools. You don't need different data. Yeah. So as you can see here, we have the just numbers, right? Okay, Virat Kohli, this match against this country, these are the scores, right? And then from that we should be able to convert it to descriptive analytics, right? Which means a simple analysis, and also we can go into diagnostic analytics. So if there are cricket lovers, you know that Virat Kohli is running into a lean patch these days on his standards. So he can analyze his data and see what are the lacking part he has, right? So, and also the predictions, right? So according to that, he can see now the against this country, what is the how he should play, and where he should play. As you know, in sometimes in some decisions, if I relate this to a very simple Sri Lankan analytics, sometime back, you know, we had the great cricketer like Virat Kohli named Sangakkara. Now, analytics identified his scores are his scores are better when he was not wicket keeping. So if you remember, they pushed him to not to keep wickets during test matches. It's a purely as far as I know, it's a statistical decision that they made, right? So and it prospers, right? So they kept him out of the wicket keeping in test matches, and it worked for him. Now, all these latest the last I think 4 to 5 years when he was playing in test matches, he's not keeping his wickets, keeping for Sri Lanka, and then his numbers increase very rapidly. So there's another way that you can analyze and the predict and then work along with that.
Right, that's quite interesting. So now when you look at this system that is used to predict the results, right? So what sort of job roles that gets involved in creating these systems? Could you just explain us about these job roles?
Yeah, there are a lot of job roles there, right? There are core roles as well as supportive roles. So if you look at core roles, you can say data. So if you start from the big positions, like you can start with the data architect, where he decides the architecture of your system. Remember, when we are saying data, it can be anything, virtually anything. Right, as I said, in cricket, since we are on that example, in cricket, data is not what the scores that you are making. That's not only the data is not only that. Where the ball pitches, from which position that you are scoring, from against which bowlers that you are scoring. So all of them are data. If you look at the European cup, I don't know, football the cup. So they were analyzing now how many the length that every player was running when they were playing. So they all are data. They all are data. So remember, when it comes to a data project, you need people to collect this data. So you get the raw data. So the one role is the data collection. Right? When you are saying data collection, it's not a very simple thing. You need to develop IoT devices. You need to have proper applications, so on and so forth. Then raw data cannot be used as it is. You need to clean them. You need to massage them. You need to do data the feature engineering. Right? So those things has to be done. So that's again a data engineer job. Then analysis. Analysis means, okay, you have data. What sort of output that we can give to the users, right? So though you have large volume of data, that has to be analyzed and that has to be given to the relevant users in a proper format. Might be a dashboard, might be a simple application, whatever, right? And then data architect has to manage from end to end. He has to manage end-to-end aspects of this data project. So these are the core roles, I would say. Now, then you have supportive roles, such as you need data DBAs, right? When you are saying DBAs, don't think that every day DBAs will suit for this type of work. And also when we say the data analysis, you will have ETL developers. You have to extract the data, transform it, and then load it to the relevant environments. then definitely the QA roles are there. QA roles may not be the standard defined QA roles. Those has to be accommodate in order to facilitate this data-driven analysis. So in nutshell, we have data analysis will be there. Basically, the who will responsible data gathering and organizing and analyzing the data. Then the analysis focused on using data to improve the organization. They will identify the trends. They will identify the patterns. They will identify the outliers, and then the data architects. They will design the structures, organization that it needs. Remember, when it comes to a design, data platforms need a different designs. It's different from operational systems. You need to cater different analysis, or I would say it's a different paradigm altogether. So data architect needs to look at it in different angles. So as I said, apart from these three major roles, there are a lot of other supportive roles as well.
Right. So, Mr. Austin, I have an interesting question for you. Now, Dinesh told us about the job roles who creates these systems and who would really work with developing these systems. So, are there any other roles from the user perspective? So, somebody who uses this analytics and make decisions, that kind of roles. Could you let us know some information about that?
Yeah. So, so if you just change to the next slide, right? We see that the functional jobs, right? Okay, so there are functional jobs, right? Right? So for example, take a CEO, for example, right? Now today, a CEO has to be responsible to decide the strategy along with perhaps other players in the organization, like the board and so on, right? So he's responsible for the whole organization, right? Now today's CEOs also have to be aware of data analytics. So in a way, the CEO's job is also now becoming a data analytics job, because the CEO needs to know how to consume. Now Dinesh was earlier talking about the BI specialist or business intelligence specialist in the previous slide, right? So the business intelligence specialist will come and present the analytics results to the CEO, right? Now the CEO should be able to make the strategic decisions based on that data, right? So today we see that there are so many other, what you might call functional roles, where they need to know basics of data analytics. Now Dinesh was explaining more of the roles on the interface side, right? I'm talking about some of the roles which are on the functional side, right? Now I think take for example the management accountant, right? So the management accountant should be able to look at analytics data, right, and make management decisions, right? So nowadays, I think the trend is also, I think probably Dinesh is also aware of this. Sometimes, the data analyst and the architect and all of that make available a lot of data in a easily consumable form to the end user, like the management accountant, right? And the management accountant will have his own tools that he knows how to use, right? And he would make that use of those tools for his management decision making. Okay, I mean, when I was in the industry, I'm talking about 10 years ago, or even more, right? We were using a BI tool, right? A business intelligence tool to analyze our service operations, for example, right? So the company that I was working for at that time was running a major service network, right? So we would really analyze that service network to see, okay, we had like hundreds of machines of a particular kind installed throughout the country, right? And using these business intelligence systems, they would run analytics to see, okay, what is the period in which the machines break down and which kind of machines break down. how long does it take to service it? And ultimately, we would even run analysis to see, okay, for the amount of maintenance revenue we are getting from this particular, customer and the number of machines he has, right? The customer has, is it worth to sign up this contract again, right? So many of those decisions as a management decisions we used to make by looking at the BI tool, the output of the BI tool, and then if we while looking at it we wanted some more analysis, we would tell our internal team saying, okay, I would like to know this kind of thing. Can you quickly do me an analysis to find that out for me? And they would go and it wasn't that difficult. Even I was able to write those things to a certain extent at that time, right? So they would go and write those little BI stuff and present the data to us to facilitate such decisions. So what I see is that the careers in data analysis are not only related to the people who like Dinesh said, all those kind of people, but also people on the other side who know. So eventually, the people who work in many cutting-edge organizations need to know, right? What is data analytics? Can I use that? Right? Even though they may not go and do hands-on the back-end stuff, they should know how to do it, how to ask for it, what to ask for, kind of thing, right? So those are also kind of, in a way, data analytics involved jobs that are there in the world now.
Yeah, that's very interesting to get to know, because most of the people think that when it comes to analytics, it needs to be about creating the systems and developing these applications. But on the consumer side, or rather on the side where you can make use of these analytics and make some decision, there are job roles related to that as well. So Dinesh, Mr. Austin just mentioned about these financial analytics related jobs. So from your experience, will you be able to show us how to do a simple analytics? Now, I have heard sometimes in order to do analytics, you use sophisticated tools like Tableau, Power BI and stuff. Can we use basic tools like Excel and do some of these analytics?
Yeah, of course we can. As I said, Excel is pretty much a pet tool for everyone. Everyone, like even for managers or whatever. So we can use Excel. Let me share my screen. So this is a Excel pivot table where I have connected to a data set. So now let's say I'm starting to analyze my data. Let's say I have profit. So this is my so I have sales amount and profit and the cost. So you can see the basic data is there. And now I want to analyze this using, let's say I have, depending on my employees, let's say order date wise, I need to analyze this, right? So let's say, right. So from that I can see 2013, my profits are negative profits. So as you know, this is Excel. So I can do few formattings like this. These are very simple stuff, and if you want, I can include some simple formatting can be done. Now look at this one. So I'm saying, okay, so this is analysis, right? Without few clicks of some numbers. So I can see my sales amount, profit, and the cost for different years. And now I can drill down. So drill down is a basic feature that you will get in an analytical framework. So I think this is for every quarter wise how the data is distributed. So now what has happened is, let's say if I'm manager, I want to see, okay, why my 2013 I'm seeing a huge the loss or negative profit, let's say loss, and then I can expand this and see. Then I will see, okay, my problem is on the first quarter and the last quarter. And so I can drill down to that level. Also, I think I have, so I can go into the more details. Okay, 2013, I said quarter one, we have an issue. I can drill down and see what is happening to the quarter one, right? So then Okay, so monthly wise, I can see what has happened, right? So not only that, so you can see analytics is not a predefined environment that you get. Analytics is kind of a framework. It's an ad hoc environment. Now, if I want to analyze, I can start from different parameters. So here I want to analyze from order date or sales amount, profit and the cost for order date. But someone else, product wise, what is the how the sales have happened. So he can see that these are, I think, categories, and then I have subcategories, and then I have product line. So let's say if I expand the helmets, I can see on different helmets, these are the sales amount, profit and standard cost. So you can see, and I can go into the extent that you can come up with the graphs as well, but I will simply set this for the only for the data sheet. As you know, if you can do this in a tabular format, converting it to graph is not a difficult thing. So, but also let's say if I want this other way around, okay, dollars on this side and the employees on this side. So likewise, I can do. So this is Excel. Yes, you need to build your framework. You need to build your databases accordingly. That's where these data gathering roles are coming in. But if you want to analyze this, it's much easier. It's like you work in normal in Excel. So here you can see female employees and for married and single. So these are the sales distribution that I have. So likewise, I can get the distribution for my male employees as well. So you can see, remember, analytical is ad hoc. Analytical needs ad hoc nature. Analytics is ad hoc nature. You can't simply say, okay, it's not a predefined, right? It's not a predefined where you define a boundary. Okay, you start with this and this and the other. The analytics is not that. So analytics is an ad hoc nature. I might be, depending on my experience, depending on the problem that I have, I may need to start from different parameters. So this is what I mean by analytics. So you can see, by using simple Excel sheet, we can do the relevant the analytical capabilities that we can derive from even from the Excel from simple Excel sheets. As you know, if you are, I mean, again, this simple Excel, I know in many organizations, when we developed data analytics framework, first thing that we do is we provide them the option of connecting the framework databases to the Excel sheets. Why? We know for a fact that whether we doesn't matter how much flash reports that we provide them, they need Excel. That's a simple bread and butter for them. So, and also there is something called these days, there is something called self-service BI, self-service data analytics. That is, they can do their own the analytics for the analytics the processors. So what we do is, even though we build the data analytics frame, the platforms with the latest and greatest technologies, but still we provide the Excel option for them. Why? They need that. So because, and also that tells you a story, that tells you the how they use Excel for this analytics. So as you know, every manager, whatever, they are used to Excel. So that means even your framework, like what we have defined here, can be used to analyze even from Excel. Still, you have those fancy tools, Power BI, Tableau, likewise, but still Excel also can be used where you have already licensed this product, that can be used for your analytical capabilities or to support your analytical capabilities as well.
Thank you, Dinesh, for showing us that example, because most of the time people think that they need to have some sophisticated tools like Power BI and Tableau, and which might also scare them a little bit because it's so sophisticated tools. But Excel, most of them are familiar, and it'll be like easy for them to use these and do their analytics as well. Right. So then I'm going to show some interesting features in our day-to-day applications that we use which is like more related to data analytics. All of us might be using YouTube, and we watch movies in Netflix. How many of you all have noticed that your YouTube or Netflix give you recommendation? Can I see a raise of hand from how many of you all have noticed the YouTube recommendations or Netflix recommendations? I see some of them raising their hands. Yes. And also with this COVID pandemic, what we have got adapted is to this online purchasing habit, right? So most of us stay at home and then order products through online. So when you go to these online e-commerce platforms as well, you might have seen where you get recommendation for products, as well as you also get products like that are bought together and different other options given to you through these different vendors. So Dinesh, how does data analytics get involved with these recommendation systems?
So as you know, the recommendation systems are very in one angle it's a very profitable as well, and also in other angle it's some technical, there's some technical aspect as well. There is a lot of famous stories. One story is for recommendation is that the beer and the nappy thing, right? So many people knows about the beer and nappy. I'll tell you, I'll share a similar story where Amazon has come up with something similar, but it's a real world story. Around 20 years ago, there was the people who climbed the mountains, right? The set of people, they were climbed the mountain Andes, and they went into some trouble, and one person came and wrote a book. Book name is Touching the White. It was average sale. I mean, it was not a big deal. The book was selling. It was average selling book. After 10 years, after 10 years, there was a major incident. I think some of you may know. 13 people died when they tried to climb the Mount Everest. And again, one person survived, and then he came and wrote a book name, if I remember, Into Thin Air. Book name is Into Thin Air. And that book was it was selling. It was a super selling book, right? It was selling. It was selling superbly, and it was breaking all the records of the book selling and whatever. And then Amazon identified. Now remember, these two books were published apart 10 years apart, right? Around 10 years apart. So Amazon identified these two books are similar. These two books are similar story. But one people climbed the Andes, and another set of people climbed the Everest. Everest was most prominent because it was the huge story on those days. They built some documentaries, films even, right? So then Amazon see the relation between these two books, and they started to market the previous book, the Touching the White. What happened was, Touching the White suddenly became a super seller. They use this simple recommendation, the engine, right? Now again, so that's a real world story about. Remember, so that's what you call text recommendation. They look at the content of the book, nothing else. Remember that text analytics is a vast area that we have to look into when it comes to this recommendation. Now, whenever you buy something on Amazon, right? Let's say you buy something. You will have let's say you bought a mobile, and then you will see people who bought this has also bought these items, or recommendation will be there. So you purchase the cover or other relevant items. Now you think that it's obviously increased the Amazon revenue. Yes, number one. Number two, it's increased the customer motivate. The experience as well, right? You don't have to go back and search again, come back again, right? So the hassle is not there. Now there's another additional advantage you have. These are websites, right? So as you know, Amazon.com, you will have millions of users at a given time, right? Now Amazon, what they want to target? They want to target you to do your purchases that you need and log off from the system, so that they don't have to spend the additional funds on their infrastructure, right? So as a customer, you go there, I buy my necessary items in quick times. Earlier, let's say it is taking 5 minutes, now I need only 1 minute. I do my transaction, I log off from the system. So I'm not utilizing the Amazon.com resources for 4 minutes. Just imagine 4 minutes into 1 million users. Right? That, I mean, forget about this. I mean, these are the things that we directly see, the items that's selling together. But if you can do this, that's another additional advantage you can gain for the organization, right? And then you can develop different services using the same hardware. Because with your recommendation systems, now you have utilized the same hardware with effectively and efficiently, right? And also, though you have the Amazon examples here, there are a lot of recommender systems right now are implemented by telecommunication systems. Now, remember, telecommunication is not just calling someone. Right now, they have broadband, they have POTV. In POTV, they have insurance schemes, they have education programs. A lot of things are there. So they can target these people. Right? They can target these people and find out. Okay, if you are running a broadband and whatever, let's say if you have a broadband, can we upscale this customer to with TV connection, right? On TV itself, okay, you have only few channels. What about having another channel or 2 or more channels or different package itself, right? So recommendation systems are simple. Recommendation systems are there, like what I said about the deer and the nappy incident that I said before, and then other analytics like the documents, the contents. Right? You can analyze document contents and find out, okay, people who have read this book have read this book also, purely on the content. Right. So by looking at the content, they can see that, okay, this person is more like to read about adventure stories. So then, okay, they recommend adventures, but related books for you. Right. So likewise, recommendation systems has a huge the future as well, and it has been utilizing a lot of even right now, like Amazon, YouTube, Netflix. They are also utilizing it right now. So they have a huge future as well.
Yeah, so these recommendation systems, just as they are beneficial for the business organization, as you correctly mentioned, it's it's giving a better user experience for the users as well. So Dinesh, could you also let us know, like, what are the job roles that are related to building this recommendation system? Now, earlier we looked at some of the job roles that are related to building predictive analytic systems. So what are the different roles that are engaged or involved with building such kind of recommendation systems?
Yeah, so I'll tell you experience that I have with developing a recommendation from one Sri Lankan organization. Unfortunately, I can't reveal the names. So major challenge we had there was collecting data, right? So basically, data is coming from multiple sources. They had around 13 odd sources, right? So we had to collect this data. So we needed, actually we had many data engineers there, right? We had a lot of data engineers who are capable of handling one system alone. And also the data scientist. So his job is like, he collect this data, which is given from different sources, and he has to massage them, run some statistical model, run and then do analytics. When you are saying analytics, there are 4 types of analytics: descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive analytics. So basic 2 analytics has to be done, whether it's whatever the system that you have to do the basic analysis. And then the problems are, okay, data engineering, feature engineering, I would say. Now, sometimes, for example, we want to know, we want to know some client properties which was not there in the database. Right? I'll tell you a very simple example for a feature engineering. Okay, you have the identity card number. As you know, in the Sri Lankan context, from the identity card number, you can derive the age and the gender. That's a very simple thing. We had to go into a lot of other details of feature engineering stuff, but I'm saying some very simple example which we all can understand. So that's a feature engineering. We don't have that data. From that, we derive some data, right? And then, as you know, the data integration issues. So that's again the part of data engineer, right? Where you have data coming from one system, and the data is coming from another system. So remember, these systems were built. They have a different mandate. They have a mandate for the operational purposes. So when it comes to integrating these two systems, definitely you will run into issues. You will run into major issues, right? Now, if I relate some previous experience, we want to match two same organization. In one system, they had artists. In one system, you have all the employees. For some reason, we have to manage these two, the employees. So we had 121 users, artists, but only 101 artists were matching equally, right? Because obviously in one system, the names are not correct. Names are when some people have changed their names, that name is not updated in one system. So those things has to be done. Remember, if you are not doing these things, your outcomes may not be correct. Right? Now, for example, let's say another example, gender. Now, one system to operate, you might not need gender the parameter. Let's say you are issuing a bill. So to issue a bill, you don't know whether you don't care whether your customer is male or female. You are simply issuing a receipt or invoice or whatever. But when it comes to analytics, you need that information. So how do you derive that? If it is not there, how do you derive that? Right? So those are the problems. There is no exactly, you can't say whether it's a data engineer or a data scientist or more into data engineer, but scientists will identify, okay, this is the way you have to do. You have to do this. Then analysis. So after you build these recommendation systems, operational analysis has to, now ultimately you are recommending, right? You might recommending 5 products. Some might not be viable. Right? Very recently, we did a recommendation system. It's a research. We were looking at the skin types, and we are proposing or we are recommending some products, right? Some products. Now, also when we are recommending that, so depending on the skin type, age, and gender, we recommend some products. But as you know, this product itself has other properties like the prices, and then whether they are local or foreign, whatever. So that has to be analyzed, right? So that has to be analyzed from a operational analyst has to analyze that. So data scientist and data engineer will give you the data. The operational analyst will analyze and see how you can practically use it in the environment. Now, again, as I said, these are main roles. Again, you have other supportive roles, right? You have a DBA. And nowadays, as we know, we try to even analytics, the machine learning stuff, we try to implement them in the cloud, right? So then the cloud people comes into the picture, right? Of course, QA people, business analysis. So roles are vast, but these are the core roles, I would say.
Yeah, so Mr. Austin, I have a question for you next. So Dinesh again told about people who get involved with building the system, collecting the data, and looking at different stuff. Again, like with user perspective, are there any roles which get involved with these recommendation systems?
Right. Okay. So basically, as you can see, these data analytics techniques and application of data analysis actually is changing the whole landscape of the business environment, right? But in the olden days, there are roles like merchandiser and so on, Those are very simple roles where somebody sort of decided, where do I buy certain things from, certain sources and things like that, right? So here today, so the world is now moving heavily towards e-business, right? So you get like e-business merchandisers and people like that, new roles there, right? So those people have to be familiar with what is data analytics, what can data analytics do, what are these recommendation systems and how do they work, and so people on the functional side of business also need to know how these systems work. Now note that these systems we are giving you are just examples, right? This is a vast field. I would say data analytics is everywhere in business now, right? So we are just giving you what you call in English the tip of the iceberg, right? A few things that we can talk to you about in this little time that is there, right? But there is huge amount of work that is there. So for example, like Dinesh was saying, the operational analyst has to decide many things. So product marketing, right? Deciding on what products to promote, promotional strategies, which one to promote, which one is really likely to move, those decisions, right? So those people also need to know. Product marketing guy has to know how to use these systems, right? And then digital marketing, right? So today, almost every business is going for digital marketing and digital transformation, also going for digital business, right? So digital marketing managers also need to be in on this, right? So the long and short of it is now today, there will be a lot of functional people also involved in these kind of, data analytics related projects and job roles.
Yeah, so Dinesh, now we looked at two systems where one was a predictive analytics system, and then the other one was this recommendation system, and then we talked about the job roles related to that. So as a holistic view, what are the other job roles that are there with data analytics, which is related to data analytics?
Yeah, another important thing is data steward. Something I think we couldn't go into details of that. So we have discussed the things like data scientist, data architect, data engineer, and then we have something called data steward. Data steward is something like a now, as you know, when it comes to data analytics, you need to link data between multiple systems, right? So when you are saying multiple system, don't think that I'm talking about databases. It's not only databases. Yes, databases play a huge role when it comes to data analytics. But what about your emails? What about your chats? What about your documents? And they also have a huge role to play when it comes to data analytics. So data steward role is basically, he's a kind of a bridge between the operation systems and the analysis. Whenever you ask for data, he will make sure that data will be available for you. It's a huge role, right? Huge role, because he need to understand all the data. He is basically a kind of a person who is identified, who should have the idea about what you have in the organization. And then the data governance specialist. Now, so remember, when it comes to data analytics, what are the challenges that we also have challenges, right? Though we are saying about nice rosy things here, we have challenges. So we bring data in an analytical system. We bring data from multiple sources. Earlier, these sources were there. Now, for example, HR system, you have this data HR system where only HR people can access. So from the security wise, it is secured so that until HR people have access to this system. But when it comes to analytics, we want this data to be in the analytical the system. So once we bring this data into our centralized analytical system, now we have an issue with our data governance. PII data, personal identification information. So how do we identify them? So there are different regulations, right? Now in some organizations, if someone queries some data, like for example salary data or some ratings, birth dates, if someone they run a query on this data, there will be mail will be fired, mail will be sent to the relevant authorities. So that is handled by the data governance. If someone want to access this data, they need principle. There should be a process in there. So the data governance specialists will handle that, right? They will decide, okay, do you need this data? Why you need this data? So a lot of questions will be asked. Then only he will provide this data. And then okay, you have the data is available, but how do you analyze it? As I said, you have recommendation. We have recommended several products. So again, you need to analyze them. So those are the key additional roles that I can think of apart from the roles that we discussed previously. So again, remember, when it comes to data analytics, there are vast variety of roles. Simple as that. There are vast varieties of roles which have different roles to play in this data journey.
Yeah, that's interesting to get to know different career opportunities or job roles that are available with the data analytics domain. So, Mr. Austin, I have a very curious question, and I'm sure our audience also might be looking for this information. How well are these data analytics job roles or people who are in the data analytics field paid? How is their pay? Is it good or bad or average?
Right. So let's see, I mean, some data that we have on this pay, right? So if you go down to that next slide, I think you probably have it there. It's not this. Yeah. Okay. Now we can see it. Right. Okay. So this is an interesting slide for everyone. So this is of course US salary scales. So we won't tell you much about Sri Lankan scales, but interesting thing is today in the morning I was talking to a lady who has a doctorate working in this area. And she was saying that how they have set up a company which is doing data analytics outsourced jobs to the entire world, operating right out of Sri Lanka, right? And they employ lots of people in this domain. So their revenues are actually coming from outside the world in dollars. So that's quite interesting. Anyway, so here this graph shows you the average salary in US dollars for a year for some of these job roles, right? So there is no time to sort of go through everything here, but just look at the, let's say, BI and analytics consultant, the highest one, right? So that salary is in the range of 120,000 US dollars for a year. So that's like 10,000 US dollars for a month, right? So in today's currency terms, in Sri Lankan money, that is like 2 million rupees a month salary, right? Okay, so that's the kind of salaries that you get in the international market for this kind of job, right? So if you have a company in Sri Lanka doing this kind of outsourcing service, right? So they would be like charging out people at, right, 2 million rupees a month to a customer in the US or in any other part of the country. So that's the kind of, so these are actually highly paid jobs. So one of the most highly paid jobs in the world. Surprisingly, you will see there that, the BI analyst and consultant, the orange one, gets a much bigger salary than the yellow one, right? So that's, a far more, rare kind of, skill, right? Okay, so that gives you some idea of the salary scales that are there.
Yeah, and I'm sure like our audience might have got a little bit interested to get to know more about how do we become a data analytics professional. So it's a high paid job and it has demands. So Mr. Austin, could you be able to tell us a little bit more on like what are the degrees that are available or what are the study paths that are available for somebody to become a data analytics professional?
Right. So let me share my screen. Are you able to see my screen in full screen?
Not in full screen.
Okay, so let me try to change the display settings. Now?
Yes, now can.
Right, okay. So the thing is, at IIT, we are actually well established in this domain for the last 5 years because we have been running a master's degree in business analytics, which is in the same domain for the last 5 years. Mr. Dinesh Asanka is one of the lecturers in that. You would have seen that he really knows this industry firsthand, right? And he was able to go into all the details and explain, right? So we are not just doing this at the surface. We have been running this course with experts from the industry teaching in IIT at master's level for the last 5 years. Right now, there are 200 students following our MSc in business analytics, right? And altogether up to now, 44 people have graduated with MSc in business analytics from IIT, our business department, up to now. And that degree was from the Robert Gordon University, UK. Right? So let me tell you quickly about what we are launching today, right? So what we are talking about today is actually called the BSc Honors in Business Data Analytics, which is coming from the University of Westminster. As you know, IIT is University of Westminster is UGC recognized university, and we are a franchise partner of University of Westminster, which means that we do exactly the same thing. The certificate and the award and everything comes from University of Westminster. So what you get is actually a British degree. So this is the program that we are now currently launching for this particular domain, right? So basically the aim of this course, I will try to, we are, I think, going to run out of time. So we want to give you some time for you to ask questions. So I'll be very brief, right? So you would have sort of realized from, listening to Mr. Asanka and all of that, that people who work in this area, right, need to know some amount of business management, right? They need to know some amount of data science, and they need to know something of information systems. Because he was talking quite a bit about data and the sources of data and so on, right? So you need to know information systems, because in a real organization, that is where the data is coming from most of the time. Of course, other systems also produce data, but mostly it will come from information systems. And you need to know business management, because that is where you learn how business decisions are made, what are the systems about marketing and finance and all of that. And then, of course, you need to learn the various things that are there in data science, right? So this particular course is designed to do that, right? So it will actually help the student to learn what are the best techniques, right? What are the cutting edge applications and tools that are there in the domain of data science and information systems to apply for these kind of business use of data analytics, right? So basically it is geared towards using business data analytics for decision making. So that's the kind of course that we are launching now. So let me go a little bit further, right? So it's what we might call a 65-35 course, right? Now, in the olden days, we used to talk about clothes and say this is 65% cotton, 35 polyester. So it's something like that is 65-35. But the 65 is coming from the data science and information systems domain, right? That is the kind of bulk of it that is there. But we do have this 35%, which is coming from the business management domain. That is for the students to understand what is a business all about, right? So if you ask me, okay, we saw a lot of new interesting jobs coming up there, right? Will this program gear us to go and get those jobs? I mean, not just now as you graduate or whatever, but after some time when you have worked in the industry, right? Can I build up some of those careers that I showed now? Yes, you can. Let me show you this slide, right? As you can see, almost all of those careers can be launched, right, by doing this particular program called Business Honors, Business Data Analytics, right? Okay, now at IIT, we are running many courses in different areas, right? So let me give you a little explanation about that. Okay, so here is a kind of a slide that gives you an idea of the different programs that we have in IIT, right? So the one we are launching today is this, right? So that is the BSc Honors in Business Data Analytics, right? So if you look at, so we have sort of given you a kind of a grid here to help you to understand, right? So some of these degree programs are coming with heavily on the computing and information system side, right? Now we also have another program in IIT, which is also very good, which is called the Artificial Intelligence and Data Science degree, right? That is also in this area, but that is approaching more from the computing side of this domain, right? So you have data science, you have business management, and you have information system, right? So you can see that the data science is more business management and data science oriented. It is not very computing oriented, right? So we of course have, but actually speaking today, almost all our degree programs have an element of data analytics in it, right? So this is data analytics from the computing point of view, which will actually go into the what you might call the engine stuff, right? So I usually use the example of a engine, a car engine, and a racing driver, right? So now to drive a car, you don't need to be a mechanic, right? Okay, but so the mechanic actually knows what is under the bonnet of the car, right? He knows how the inside works and he can work on the inner workings, insides, right? So the AI and DS is like that. You work on the inside of things, the technical part, the coding, the algorithms, that kind of stuff, right? So this is, the more technical and the computing side. But imagine a racing car, right? So imagine a racing driver. So that racing driver will understand something about the car, will understand the capabilities of the car, will know how to do a few things with the car, even, borderline technical things he will know, right? But he is actually focused on running a race and winning it, right? Because he is there to use the racing car. So this is like training the racing drivers, right? This BSc BDA is the racing drivers program. The AIDS is the engineers and mechanics who build such racing cars. So that's a simple way for you to understand. But in reality, all our programs have a little bit of business analytics inside it. For example, in our business information systems program also, there is some data analytics and data science modules are there. Even our business management students do a little bit of modules called business decision making, and they also have like analytics, right? They have digital analytics in the final year as option. They have digital marketing, right? So even our business management students do a little bit of they have for the first year, I think Dr. Elroy has joined us, right? Even in the first year, I think Dr. Elroy, you teach them the analyzing and managing information now, right? Okay, right. So in the first year, they learn analyzing and managing information, the very basics of using data for decisions, right? So even inside our BM program, we have these things, but this is really focused for business management and data science using information systems, right? So let me give you a quick comparison between the two programs that we have in the data science area. So the one we are launching today looks like this in the first year, right? So if you look at the first year subjects of this program, this is what you do. You do business computing, which kind of introduce you how computing is used in the domain of business. Database design and implementation is taught. You would have seen Mr. Asanka tell you so much about data and all of that. So you really have to learn data and databases to go into this field, right? So database design and implementation is taught. Applied mathematics is taught because it will have things like statistics and it will have only the amount mathematics needed for this particular domain. So that is why it's called applied mathematics. It is not pure mathematics, it's applied mathematics. Then of course, straight away we jump into, right, things like statistical modeling, business information system, and you also do accounting and finance in the first year because that's one of the big domains where data analytics is used. In fact, today, the other day, we were talking to one of the big companies, foreign multinational company. They are looking for accounting and finance trained people who also know data analytics. They are recruiting large numbers and they can't find people, right? So you can see that this is, having data science and business application oriented subjects here. And the other one is also a very good program, but it is more on the computing side of artificial intelligence and data science. So you can see that almost all the subjects there are computer science oriented subjects, but mostly in that one, right? So that's the difference. So this is more on the business side, that is more on the computing side. So if you look at, entry requirement wise, okay. So the program that we are launching today, the entry requirement is minimum of 3 passes at GC advanced level. Of course, all our degree programs require a mathematics credit at O level and English credit at O level, except the business management where we don't need mathematics credit. But all other programs require mathematics credit at O level and English credit at O level. And the other program, the BSc Honours AI and DS, which is already running, requires that you have A-level physics or A-level mathematics, either in the Sri Lankan A-level or in the London A-level system. So this is having this particular requirement in the entry requirement. Of course, both programs, then you can get in if you are somebody who has not got your A-level 3 passes, or if you are just trying to think, okay, can I go straight from my O levels without going through A levels? We all know, right? So we all know that even the best predictive analytics data science system will not predict when our A level exams are happening and when our results come and when you enter university. So because of that, many people are nowadays opting to go through the foundation route and do a degree. So in both programs, you can enter through the foundation route also by doing the foundation program at IIT if you don't have your A levels, right? So let me just give you a quick explanation on how much of technical computing skill you need, right? So as you can see, there's a scale. On the left is the less technical, on the right is the more technical of the program, right? So in trying to decide which one to follow, you must decide by what you are capable of and what type of person you are, right? If you are one of those people who are very technical and who is very computing oriented and want to work on the inner workings of analytics and data science, then the AI and DS is suitable for you, because it is the very more technical program in this area, right? But as you can see that the BSc BDA, right, is also somewhat technical, right? It is not a totally non-technical program, but you don't do like heavy amounts of coding and all, right? It is also somewhat technical. It is somewhere here. The least technical of the programs is, of course, business management, right? This one is somewhere here. Is very much less technical than the AI and DS. So if you are coming from a less technical background, but you still want to go into the field of analytics, right? Especially from the business analytics point of view, this program would be more suitable. So it has to be decided based on your ability, right? And of course, the entry requirements that are there, right? So I hope that you got a quick idea of the programs, right? So we will conclude now, and I will hand back to Ms. Abarna, right? And she can take over from this point.
Thank you, Mr. Austin, and thank you for that very in detailed explanation on the course that we have launched today, BSc Honors in Business Data Analytics. I'm sure our audience here might have a couple of questions, so we can take those questions now. So if you all have any questions to be asked from us or any clarifications to be made, please post your questions on the chat. We will be able to answer your question. So one question that has already come up is, in order to become a data science professional in the future, what degree program would you recommend? BSc in BDA or BSc in AI and DS? Mr. Austin, would you like to answer that?
Sorry, come again.
Yeah, so the question is, in order to become a data science professional in the future, what degree program would you recommend? BSc in BDA or BSc in AI and DS?
Right. So I think I already covered that a little bit in the lecture, right? So both are possible to go into data science, right? You decide by thinking what side of it you want to go into, right? So if you are someone who really wants to go into the data science area, more from the, like I explained, more from the technical side, right? Where you learn programming, right? Where you learn like things like algorithms, if you are a very technical person who would typically go and do an engineering or computer science type of degree, then the AI and DS is for you. But if you are a less technical person who doesn't like to do programming heavily, right? Who doesn't really want to go into becoming a very technical computing oriented person, but instead you want to work in data science, then the BSc Honors Business Data Analytics is the better choice, right? So that mainly you have to decide on what type of course, also remember that the AI and DS requires A-level mathematics or A-level physics. So that itself sort of tells you it is a technical oriented degree program, right? So you speak to me personally later on, arrange this thing. I can go through the comparison, what you do in the first year, what you do in the second year, what you do in the third year, so that you can make that decision, right? But mainly I would say that slide I showed you, if you want, I can show that slide again. Can you see full screen?
Not yet in full screen.
Okay.
Not in full screen yet.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just talk to you with this thing. I think you would be able to see that here itself we have showed the AI and data science orange color one is more technical. The BSc BDA, yes, it is also having certain amount of technical elements, but it is somewhere in this side over here, right? So yes, you can take the BSc BDA and get into the data science field, definitely, right? But you will, because you will be learning databases and all of that. You will do machine learning, everything is there, but you will do it more from the business applications point of view, not from the coding point of view or sort of computing point of view. I hope that answered the question. Ms. Sabarna, if you like, you can add something, or Elroy, Dr. Elroy can add something if you're on the call.
Yeah, I think if you take the next question, we can together answer that. So there's a question whether AI and DS is more into mathematics. Yes, so the entry requirement itself, we have maths, A-level maths requirement over there. It's a little bit into mathematics, where you will be learn mathematics related to artificial intelligence and data science systems. So we have another question. Whether the career opportunities in BDA is more of knowledge-based opportunities or experience-based opportunities. So I think Dinesh can answer this question. Dinesh?
Or maybe Elroy is there. Oh, yeah. Both can answer, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's biased to one, knowledge base or experience base. I'm not sure why. What is the? Okay, sorry. Yeah. So yeah. So business, the big data analytics is the more knowledge based or experience based opportunities. I think the both opportunities are there. I mean, for every job there is an experience element. I'm not sure what does it mean by experience based opportunities. So every job, whether it's whatever the job, right, you need to have the experience, right? So every job you need to have experience. There is a knowledge element as well as the experience element as well. If I get the question correctly, whether the question is based on like, can we get opportunities without the knowledge? Is that what the question coming in? If that is the way, if that is.
I believe like somebody who has not done a BDA degree.
Exactly. Yeah, okay. I also sense that. Yeah. So there are people who have not done degree. I mean, degree kind of a course kind of a thing to facilitate BDA. But thing is this. Yeah. So you can there is a distance that you can travel, but sometimes you might, if you don't have this base knowledge, if you don't have the sound knowledge, you will run into issues, right? Now, I mean, it's always better to understand the concepts I don't say experience is not required. It's always better to understand the concepts and then blend that with the experience. Right? So that would be a great beneficiary. On the other hand, if you have the experience on some subjects, it's always better to have your base concepts inbuilt your experience capability. So then you are becoming a resource person in that sense. So I would say you need both to some extent. I mean, without knowledge, if you don't have the base knowledge, there's extent that you can travel, but I think you will run into some difficulties in your journey.
Okay.
I may add something to it. I think when you have a theoretical knowledge, when you have a degree, it's like laying a proper foundation. So when you have a foundation, you can build the second floor and all that. And if not, you have to you just have to manage with the ground floor. So as Dinesh was also saying, you up to some extent you can go, but if you want to go further, do research, do things that others have not done before, find patterns, and if you want to do that kind of work, you always need to have a theoretical knowledge.
Right. Thank you.
Just to conclude with that, with the famous saying, if you have a hammer in your hand, you tend to see all problems as nails. Right. So whenever you gather other knowledge, only you will see. Whenever you have more tools, then you tend to see problems differently. Okay.
Dr. Arroy, there's a question on how creativity and a logical thinking in a person would affect for these career pathways in data analytics. Would you like to take that question? How creativity and logical thinking of a person would affect these career paths?
Okay. Logical thinking is needed, when you want to analyze the data logically, find patterns and all that. So creativity is also needed, when you want to visualize data, put it in very nice, very creative dashboards, okay? Find out new ways of representing data, showing graphics, So both of that will contribute to a growth of a person's career. And, so the more logically prone you are, I mean, sometimes we say creativity is for the arts and that field, and, the mathematics is for this kind of jobs. But creativity is also needed here. So in terms of designing tools, in terms of designing dashboards, in terms of designing the whole user experience. Okay. So when you're mathematically oriented, it's easy for you to see some patterns. Okay. So that's what this course, this bachelor's course teaches. It lays the foundation in mathematics, a few statistics, operations, research, and all that. So it will really help you to both of this logical thinking as well as creativity will help you to go forward in your career.
Thank you. So if you all have any other questions, you can post it on the chat. So we will be able to take those questions.
Can I add something?
Yes, sir.
Sure, Professor.
Yeah, actually, I want to add something to what Elroy said. If you know your logic is a part of mathematics, you can become a good AI scientist, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is applied logic, right? And data science is a branch of applied statistics. And right now, my recommendation is for the students, don't worry about anything, right? Only worry about concentrating on your studies for the potential student and improve your skills to observe data very carefully and look for patterns, trends, extremes, etc., and identify the need for appropriate analysis and appropriate tools and interpret correctly. And appropriate analysis and appropriate tools we will teach, the lecturer will teach. You have to only concentrate and observe data very carefully, and for that you need experience. With experience you will be a good observer and you will observe patterns, trends, extremes, extreme data. That is where you need experience a little bit, right? Because I have been teaching the first year students, and I know the shortcomings they have. So that's all you have. I think I congratulate this program and the team, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor. So there's one more question. How about the career opportunities in Sri Lanka for data analytics professionals?
So maybe Dinesh can tell us, okay, a little bit, and I will also answer something. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, as you know, there are a lot of organizations starting with Puchani. Very recently, a couple of days back, one person was talking to me. They were looking at ETL developers who large scale. I mean, they were looking at, if I tell you the numbers, 100 ETL developers, Sri Lankan organization, to facilitate some client in US. So they don't have that skills levels here. Yes, you might not see that many big data analytics, machine learning specialists right at this moment. But if you look at around, let's say, 10 to 15 years back, I think, when Elroy and myself, when we started working in data warehousing, at that time we didn't have much data warehousing opportunities. But look at nowadays. Nowadays you have a lot of this data warehousing, reporting opportunities are there. So if you look at the data warehousing, reporting opportunities are there in Sri Lanka even right at this moment. So if you are especially asking things like machine learning, data mining, predictive analytics, we may not have that level of opportunities right at this moment. But again, simple saying that though you wake up early, sun won't rise, right? But at the time of sun rising, better be wake up. Right, so opportunities will come, but be ready with the tools and the technologies.
Yeah, so perhaps Elroy can add something from his experience with the masters in BA, of
Yes.
how the people from different domains got great breaks, right?
Yeah, so actually, there is a lot of opportunity in the market, even in Sri Lanka. So what's happening is there are even John Keels. They had a special unit to run data science projects or big data projects for their own companies. It was a very massive project, with collaboration from Indian companies and all that. So we got talking to them for something. So companies are going into this initiative. So wherever we find, so for my, for the masters, I practiced what I preach. I did an analysis of my own students who join the master's program, and I found out, they are coming from data-intensive industries. That is from telco, banking, manufacturing, like that. So every year there'll be some bankers, there'll be some telco guys, every batch. Okay, so because these companies are themselves doing it, So, if you go to buffet, I think these days buffets are, they are not allowed because of Corona. It's little people are not very easy to have buffets. But a la carte, where they will come and serve. So that both those are there in the industry also. One is where the companies themselves they are doing it, okay, rather than expecting another IT company. The other method is where there is a software company and they hire the software company. So I see more of the first one, where the companies themselves hiring. So if you say you take a banking company, they have a data analytics arm. They within their team. So they are forming a data analytics team. So to answer the question, is there a scope in Sri Lanka? Yes, very much. I mean, there's a lot of scope.
Right. Thank you for that details. So any other questions? If you all have, please post it on the chat. We should be able to take and answer those questions. Some of the questions that were which were already answered during the session, we are skipping with the interest of time. Yeah, so if you all want any further details with regarding to this degree program, you can always reach out to anyone at IIT. They will be able to help you all. So if you all have any questions to be asked from the panelists, please post them on the chat. We should be able to take and answer those.
So I don't know, Aparna, whether you have a list of modules to show what is there in the VDA. So you can show that where there are some questions about what is there in the VDA.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, so. We just showed only the first year modules, so.
So in the first year, they will be going through database design and implementation, applied mathematics, business information system concepts, accounting and finance for business, business computing, and statistical modeling and analysis, which is a blend of data science, business information system, as well as business management. Then in their second year, they will have 4 core modules, which is like machine learning and data mining, agile project management, management decision making for business, and service operations management. And then they can also select 2 out of the following 4 modules: business ethics and CSR, web-enabled business, business analytics, and database systems. Then in the final year, they have final year project, data visualization and dashboarding, big data analytics, CRM. Those 3 are core modules where all the students will be doing that. And then there are there's a list of optional modules, CRM and CM with business intelligence, strategic management, digital analytics, forecasting for managers, social media for business, applied artificial intelligence, and advanced analytics. So out of the modules listed here, they will have to select 2 and follow those. So yeah, as you all can see, it's a blend of data science, information system, and business management. It's not heavily biased towards one domain. And you can see the modules listed over here are not too technical. They are very you don't need to do heavy programming or coding in any of these modules specifically. Mr. Austin, anything to add into
Yes.
that?
Yeah. So actually different types of students can, by selecting the options carefully, do different, what you might call pathways. Those are not officially awarded as pathways, but within this program, it is designed in such a way that if a more technical student joins up, maybe that technical student can use, do options like advanced analytics, right? Database design, and so on, and go on the, like Mr. Asanka mentioned, those kind of jobs, right? So it will open up a path for them. But perhaps there are some students who want to take, like I mentioned about the kind of functional side jobs, right? So those students could opt for other options like, strategic management or digital marketing, right? So you can do those type of, things and do more of a management pathway of business data analytics, right? So you know the fundamentals, but in the final year and in the second year, you take more of the management side of the program, right? So there are 3 pathways which you can choose, but you can also have other options. So there is a lot of mix and match possible, depending on your capabilities and what you want to do. Of course, this program also has a year of industrial placement. So we are already started talking to potential employers. So by the time the students who enroll in September finish their second year, we will be finding them jobs in the industry where they will work for 1 year in the relevant area, right? So that when they come back in the final year, they will come back with a year of experience so that they can then decide what options are the best to do in the final year. Because we have a lot of options in the final year, like I mentioned, those are there. And by the way, somebody asked, okay, which one is having more job opportunities? I don't know Sri Lankan situation, but the global projections are something like 1:3. That means, it's just like, cars. I explained to you a little earlier, right? So car designers and mechanical people and mechanical engineers who know cars are a smaller number, right? But the number of people who drive cars and the racing drivers and racing teams and all that, if you look at it, there are larger numbers. So in the same way, the projections are that there will be more jobs in the market for people like those who are doing the business data analytics type of program, because they are the people who are working on the functional side of data analytics. That is, they're actually using or implementing data analytics projects for their, utilization, for their usage, right? So they're actually implementing data analytics for solutions, right? Whereas the others who are actually building those at the core level, okay, they are also needed. There will be many jobs. I think no harm. Any of these will have enough jobs. That much I can say. Both degrees, the people who pass out would have enough jobs in the years to come, because the projections are that in the next 5 to 10 years, it will be a very huge demand. Even already in the world, there is a huge shortage of people in this field, right? So, but the numbers generally in other countries is actually 1:3. That means for one technical AI and data science type of person, for every one of those, there will be 3 times more functional or application oriented data science people needed in the world. So that is the current prediction.
Yeah, any other questions?
So students who are already enrolled and want to make decisions can contact Ms. Abarna. I think many of you may be knowing her contacts already. She will individually counsel you on what is the best decision to take, right? So others can contact our, maybe Ms. Abarna can type our hotline. Those who want to, call, can call our sales and marketing team on the hotlines to, make your inquiries. So they will direct you to us if you want to find more details and need some advice. Elroy, Dr. Elroy, Ms. Abarna, or myself are there. So we can advise you. So the hotline is there for you all to, call in, right? Our marketing team. So registrations are on already. Some people are already registered. So the course will start with all the other courses in September. Okay, right. I think we are done.
Right. So with that, we have typed our hotline numbers on the chat. You can see that on the chat. We have posted the information, and also the link for the business data analytics module course page is also posted on the chat. You may be able to see that. Right. So with that, we have reached the end of this webinar. So I would like to thank our panelists for being here today amidst their busy schedule. Thank you, Mr. Austin, Mr. Dinesh, and Dr. Alroy for your valuable information that you have shared with the students here today. And also thank you very much for everyone joining this evening to explore the career opportunities in the field of data analytics. I'm sure you might have got a very good knowledge on the different the career opportunities available and more insights about data analytics as well. So we look forward to seeing you all at our future events too. Take care and stay safe. Have a great day ahead. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.